Hi, in this video, I'll be demonstrating how to make cold process soap. People have been making soap for over 5,000 years, and there's quite a science behind it. When you mix a fatty acid, such as these vegetable oils, with a strong alkali solution like lye and water, you get an exothermic chemical reaction, which means it gives off heat. This chemical reaction is called saponification, a Latin term when translated literally means turning into soap. I have all my equipment ready: heat-proof bowls and utensils, a stick blender, a really good thermometer and scale, and because I'll be working with sodium hydroxide or lye, I'll need my safety goggles and gloves. This is the mold I'm going to use to put my soap batter in. I put it together with some scrap wood and lined it with freezer paper. This is the recipe I'll be using today. I put on my gloves and glasses and measured out the lye and water. Because this mixture creates fumes that should not be inhaled, I took it outside to mix. As soon as the lye hits the water, it heats up and can reach temperatures of up to 200 degrees. Because of this, I used ice cold water to keep the temperature down. I've put my lye solution in a safe place, away from pets and children, and while I wait for it to cool down, I'll measure out my oils. I pour the oils into a mixing bucket and then heat it in the microwave for a couple of minutes until it reaches a temperature between 110 and 120 degrees. I fragranced this batch with a lime essential oil and anchored it with a citrus fragrance called Manchurian Dragon. I have everything measured out. My oils and lye are both at the right temperature. Now I can start the soap making process. I carefully drizzle the lye solution into the oils and stick blend using short bursts. You can see these two liquids beginning to emulsify. Now I add the fragrance and blend until it reaches the consistency of a thin cake batter. At this point, I know the saponification process has begun. I decided to add some color to this batch using some mica mixed in glycerin. After I finish pouring the batter, I tap down the mold to make sure there's no air bubbles. Then I leave it for a while to let it rest and thicken. As you can tell, the soap batter has become quite thick. I use a spoon to texture the top and then add some soap embeds that I have made earlier. I spray the top with rubbing alcohol and then cover it with plastic wrap to prevent a white film from forming on the top called soda ash. Then I cover it with a blanket to keep the heat in and leave it for 24 hours. The next day, it's a solid block and I can take it out of the mold and unwrap it. Cutting the soap is the best part. It's always fun to see what you've got inside. The soap is still quite soft, so it's best to let it cure in a cool, dry place for 4 to 6 weeks. This will give the water from the recipe time to evaporate, and you'll end up with a harder bar of soap that lasts a lot longer. By varying the temperatures and ingredients, you can manipulate the saponification process to allow for more complicated designs like these. Before attempting a project like this, it's best to do your research. Lye is highly caustic and has the potential to be extremely dangerous. It's important to take every safety precaution when handling it. Here is a link for additional information on lye safety and soap making.